I don't know why the corners of my eyes are itching. Hey guys, what's up everybody? Welcome back to my channel, Real Talk Recovery, where we talk about recovery from addiction and I share my life with you. My name is Nicole and I'm an addict and this is my YouTube channel. Duh. No, I'm just playing. I'm trying to get something out of my purse. So, I wanted to come on here and chat with you guys. What's wrong, Onyx? Okay, hold on. Hey guys. Hey, 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 hey. Hey Shannon, what's up, girl? Okay. Do you want to go outside? Come on, let's go outside. Outside, outside, everybody. Hey, hey, come on, Paco. Come on. Paco, outside. Come on. All right. Good boy. All right. Hey, lab girl, what's up? Okay, so I wanted to come on, you guys, and tell y'all some story time. So it's Saturday. I'm doing laundry, and I had a couple comments yesterday on one of my videos, and they were asking about, just stories of my crazy things I did when I was back in my active addiction. And so what I thought I could do is come on here and share with you guys a couple of, maybe one long story. So, I don't know if you guys know who Captain Napton is, but she has a channel, and me and her always talk on the phone. Hey, Reaper Man. We always talk on the phone and chat, and sometimes I'll call her like 5 times a day. But we were talking yesterday while I was driving in the car, and I was remembering so many crazy things that happened when I was in my active addiction. And I thought I need to tell these stories. I haven't told these stories on my channel. And so that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to tell you guys a story that happened to me when I was in my active addiction. These stories are never to glorify the use of drugs. These stories are simply me sharing my experience and hopefully encouraging you to not make the same mistakes that I did when I was in my active addiction, or to just not get on drugs, period. So that's what I'm hoping that these stories will encourage, that they'll encourage you to never get on drugs if you haven't already. Hey, Kristen. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about when I was about 21 years old. I had this job. I was working at the Olive Garden, and I was actually the hostess at the Olive Garden. And I would go in, and usually I would work like 4 to 11 or 3 to 10, like those kind of evening shifts. And so at this time, I was going through this phase in my addiction where I was shooting up methamphetamine, and I was eating. Well, was I shooting? No, I was smoking meth, and I was eating ecstasy pills like they were going out of style. I was that girl who would roll ecstasy at her job as a hostess at the Olive Garden. So I had these two friends. One of them, we'll just say his name was Ty. And then these two twins we hang out with, we'll just call them the Smith twins. So me and Ty and the Smith twins, we would always hang out together and roll. I mean, we would be rolling balls every day. And what happened was we had this guy, his name was Psych, and he would get like huge shipments of ecstasy in from Texas. And so he would like go down there and bring back a whole bunch of weed and a whole bunch of ecstasy. And so we would always get, and these ecstasy pills, you guys, they were like $20 a pill, $30 a pill. They weren't cheap. This was the double stack pills that were like really little. They were real thick. They almost looked like chewable vitamins, but they weren't, because they were about that big and about that tall. And they would have imprints on them like apples or dollar signs or dolphins. What other ones I see? Supermans. All kinds of different like little imprints on these ecstasy pills. But I loved rolling Ecstasy because I would either get, I don't know what they had in them, but they're either like speedy ecstasy pills or the ecstasy pills that made you like feel like you were on opiates. You know what I mean? Like I would always get this feeling where I would automatically throw up when I knew that they were like, when I would take them and they would be like a pill that was, um, I feel like they had heroin in them or something, you know? Twice in one day, baby. Yeah. I was going to come on and I was like, let me go ahead and jump on because I told you guys I would come on. So, um, the twins and Ty, they would always come up to my job, you guys. I'd be up there, like I said, hostessing the Olive Garden, seating people, rolling, okay? Um, come on, Pops. Come on, guys. There was no shame in my game. Like, I would just be blazing balls, taking people to their seats. Well, one night I really pushed it to the limit and I took like 2 or 3 of these pills, you guys, these ecstasy pills, and drank a whole bunch of orange juice behind them. And for some reason they made me real sick, like I was throwing up, right? Well, I was throwing up in the bathroom at my job, and all of a sudden I passed out. I passed smooth out, asleep. I don't know if I was asleep or I was just passed out because at the time at my job, they were training me to taste all the wines. So not only was I had eaten these 2 ecstasy pills, but I was drinking all this wine, tasting the wine, right? And so I worked as a head waitress at Logan's Roadhouse, and there was a girl named Ellen, and me and her would be rolling on cocaine, waiting tables. Ha ha ha! Yes, Kristen. And I was always either a bartender, waiting tables, or hostessing. You know, like most of my jobs were bartending, but at this time I was just getting started because I hadn't really learned how to bartend yet. And so, but we were doing wine tastings. Like I was basically in training still, I think. And I had been drinking this wine. And when you do the wine tasting, you're supposed to spit the wine out. But don't you know your girl? I was like swallowing that shit and then going on to the next one. So that was probably, and then my boss came back there looking for me because she's like, "Where's Nicole? Where's Nicole? There's people that need to be seated." And I'm in the stall, y'all. I'm in the stall, sprawled out on the ground. And that was not the first time that happened to me. So that was the first time that happened to me at Olive Garden. Well, I ended up losing that job. And I got a job working at this place called Rolando's, which is amazing, amazing Ecuadorian and Mexican food combined. So, so good. Yes, it would like make me throw up, Kristen. Every single time it would hit me, and I'd be like, ugh. And that's how I knew it was going to be good because I was like, oh shit, I just threw up. And my teeth would start going. Hey, Marcus, we're just talking about crazy stuff I did in active addiction. So I got a job working at this place called Rolando's, and it was in downtown Hot Springs. Beautiful restaurant, and it was you can look it up online. It was on the side of the mountain, and the patio. It was like this restaurant was like built into the side of the mountain, and so when you went out on the patio upstairs, it was on the mountain, the side of West Mountain. Beautiful patio area. We'd always have live music. My sister would come there and play. Like it was a really poppin' venue. And I bartended there and I waited tables and I was the head waitress there. Like I was the shit. When I tell you like I could take a party of 60 people upstairs in a party room and make $600 off that table. Like I the way I am here on my channel, you see how I am. Just imagine me in a room of tables working I would, can I get you something, sweetheart? Oh, sure. I'll be right back. Oh, girl, I got you too. I'll be back with your drink too. You know, like I would work the whole room. And that's how it was. And I made a lot of money doing it. A lot of money waiting tables and bartending. Well, the way it worked out on the patio was, the bar was against the mountain and then you had all the tables and the chairs out here, okay? And so I would set up all the all the waitresses drinks as the orders came in. They would come get them, and then I had a bar full of people usually sitting there chopping it up with me, right? Well, at this time, I had gotten into this, and when I say phases, like I always went through these phases, you guys. Girl, I was talking to everybody. And, oh, God, sure, I can take another table, put him over in my section. I got you. I'll be right over there, honey. I mean, nonstop. I was just blessed with the gift of gab, okay? And so that really worked in my favor as a waitress and a bartender. And so, at this time, I was in like this really hardcore, like cocaine and Xanax phase. Like I was, yeah, I'll be up there in a second. I was, no, Nate. I just charged it. Yours is on the charger. Go get it.
It's not even charged.
Ugh. He wants my phone, y'all. So I was going through this stage where I was injecting cocaine and hey, upstairs. I don't want you listening to mommy's stories. They're not good stories. They're old stories from mommy's life when she was young. Thank you. So I was going through this phase where I was shooting cocaine and I was eating Xanaxes like they were going out of style. And the reason I think I was eating so many Xanaxes is because I would shoot cocaine and I would go. The only other way I can explain it to you guys is that it would just really mess me up. And so I was waiting tables. I had been at work all day long. And one of my dealers hit me up and he was like, hey, I really got some really good fish scales. And if you guys know anything about cocaine, you know what fish scales are. And I was like, all right, bring it up here. You know, I got money. I'm making money right now. I got you. Bring me up $100. Bring me a gram up. Okay. And so he brought me a gram up there, and I always had syringes, you guys. I would carry them in my trunk underneath this little thing in the back. And so I was just always prepared. And so this night, I was literally taking like breaks every 5 or 6 minutes and going downstairs and shooting up cocaine and then coming out of the bathroom and everything was going wah, 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 wah. I mean, that's the only way I can explain it to you is my eyes were going like this. And then I would be back up there waiting tables. Well, I had gotten to a point where I think I was almost out of cocaine, and I had this idea. I was like, I'm going to save the rest. One of the girls I worked with had a bunch of Xanax, and she's like, here, you want some Xanax? And so I bought 2 bars off her. I took those bars, went outside to smoke a cigarette, and back in my car upstairs. I fell asleep. I fell asleep laying down across my back seat, y'all, with a cigarette in my hand. Here comes my boss. Nicole, what are you doing? I'm asleep. I'm literally like holding a cigarette in the back seat of my car. And I was so mortified because these people were like friends with my parents. They knew my mom and dad. And I was like, man, I'm all right. I'm all right. And I got up, I shook it off, and I went out there and I finished, the rest of the night, finished my tables up. And that's when my boss pulled me downstairs and she was like, listen, I want to help you. I'll help you. I'll send you to treatment. We can get you into treatment. I had already been to rehab at the Quapaw house once. And so I was like, all right, I'll go. I'll go to treatment. And so I ended up going into treatment in this place called South Arkansas Substance Abuse, which is in El Dorado, Arkansas. And I went to treatment, you guys, and, I did what I had to do. And then I got out and I relapsed. And that's how it always was. I would always come out and relapse because I just couldn't. There's this saying that, they say the pain of your active addiction has to start outweighing the pleasure that you get from using, right? And so my addiction hadn't gotten to where it was like not fun anymore. Like I was still getting high and enjoying it. Do you know what I'm saying? And so it wasn't until my son was born that I really started to just have these horrible experiences and feel like I couldn't do it anymore, and I wanted to change because, having my son made me realize that there was more to life than getting high. But at that time, when I was waiting tables and I was always the girl that had like a gang load of guy friends and no girls hanging out with me. I was always that girl that was like in the middle of the whole party, like just right there front and center. And like I said, for a long time, it was a fun ass time. But what happened was, what had happened was, it shifted. And my addiction shifted from being something that like I did, because I could afford it and I was waiting tables and I was making hella money, to these situations where all of my dignity would be laid to the side because I would lose every job I had. I would have no money, and I would go to my dealer's house and I would be like, Booby, my dealer's name was Booby, one of them, and I would be like, Booby, man, I don't have, can you please front me? Can you please front me? You know what I mean? Like it was so embarrassing, but that's what it got to. It got to a point where, I was begging my dealers to front me. And then they got to a point where they stopped fronting me because I couldn't pay them back. Like I would pay them back and I would do really well on fronts. And then I would lose my job and I wouldn't be able to pay them back. And it was just like, damn, man. I laugh about, those old times when I was in active addiction at restaurants and being silly, like rolling balls and shit. And it's funny and everything, but it's funny now because I'm not living that life anymore. Sorry, my lips are chapped. If I was still living that life, I couldn't laugh at myself, Um, it's so debilitating, the grasp that addiction can get on a person. It literally takes away everything. It takes away any self confidence you have, any self esteem, any love for yourself. If you had that, you're not going to have it if you're in your active addiction. Any logical thinking that you had goes out the window with inactive addiction, you know? So, needless to say, they laid me off at Rolando's. I lost the job at Olive Garden. All right. And I was running out of places to get jobs in my town. And so one of my last places I went to get a job, damn, I can't believe I forgot all about this, was this place called Porterhouse Steaks. Okay, and the guy who owns it is this big ass Italian dude, and the place is like expensive. Like I'm talking, you're gonna blow $200 to eat there, easy, easy. $100 a person. So the way we had to dress at this restaurant was we had to wear, white shirts with a tie, black pants, the long black apron, like it was fine dining waiting. And so I would make a lot of money really quickly because like I was waiting on clientele that could afford to eat there. Do you know what I'm saying? And so I met this guy. His name was Adam. And I've tried to find him since this, and I cannot find this guy anywhere because I would love to find him and like tell him like I'm sorry about everything that happened when we were younger, and I hope he's doing okay today. But me and this guy met, and I really liked him, and we started dating each other. Well, my mom and dad had kicked me out, and I was kind of like just couch surfing. I was couch surfing, and just kind of like wandering around from house to house. My friends' houses. I had a couple of girlfriends that had their own apartments, and so I, Adam and me had hit it off, and we were just really liking each other, and we would drink and we would party and we would, you know, just do ecstasy and smoke pot and just kick it after work. But I had gotten put on probation because I caught my charge for the methamphetamine charge. So I was really having to like stop getting high. And so I was trying to just drink alcohol. Yeah, this was one of the many things that I would do. I would get in trouble or I would go to treatment and I would come out and I would have this bright idea that because I went to jail, the reason it happened is because I was on Xanax, or the reason it happened is because methamphetamine was involved. And so, whatever that drug was, I would do the opposite of it. So, at this time, I was drinking alcohol like a fucking fish. I basically turned into a straight lush. I drank every single day, before work, after work, during work. And alcohol was my master. I could not go to bed without drinking. I went to bed every night drunk as fuck, woke up in the morning hungover, feeling like shit. And that's how me and Adam lived our lives together. I moved in with him. Hey, Shannon. I moved in with him, and it was like this really fast romance of like crazy, wild sex and just like, I'm serious, you guys, like wild sex all the time after work. And it was like, he was 24 and I was like older than him at this time. I think I might have been almost 27 or 28, but I felt like I was so much older than him. And no, he was 20. He was young. He was like 21 or 22. He was younger than me, 22 maybe. But I felt like I was so much older than him because I can remember, like I was the oldest in the friend group, and so it was like this wild, was that word? This tumultuous relationship of like sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And each night, like I said, I would pass out because I was taking Xanax. I was trying not to, but I was taking Xanax and eating pills, then drinking a whole bunch. And so I'd pass out. I was really trying to stay away from anything that would show up in my drug test because I had to take a drug test for probation. Well, at night when I would pass out, I would usually wake up in the middle of the night and Adam would be gone. He would be gone, you guys. And I couldn't find him. I was like, where did he go? And I would look outside and his big white van would be gone because that's what he drove, this white van. It was a creepy van too. And so I was like, what is going on here? So one night he left in the middle of the night and he didn't come home. So I stayed up. I stayed up all night until he pulled up into that driveway. And when I saw him pull up in the driveway, guess what I saw? I saw a big lighter going off in his truck multiple times. And that's when I knew what was going on. He was smoking the crack-a-lacka. And he was a crack addict. He was addicted to crack. And I did not know it. And at this time, you guys, I was like, crack is whack. That shit, like I thought I was better than him because he was on crack and I wasn't. But I knew something was just not right. This kid went through so much money. I was helping him pay his rent. I was helping him pay his probation officer, his fines and fees. Money was just flying out the window, right? Mad amounts of money. We were both working, waiting tables at this fine dining restaurant, and money was just going, right? Every night when I would fall asleep or pass out from all the drugs I would do, he would go down to Park Avenue and smoke crack all night long. One night he left and I caught him and I got in my car and I followed him. I followed him all the way down to this nasty ass, seedy ass crack hotel. At this time, I was crazy as hell and I didn't give a damn. So I went up to the door and I was like, bap, 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 bap. Let me in, motherfucker. Bap, 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 bap. I'm out here. I know you're in there. I know you're smoking crack. I was so pissed. It was like 2:00 in the morning. I'm screaming out here on Park Avenue. This guy opens the door, this black guy, skinny old black guy, smoking crackhead. And listen, I'm not saying that in a mean way. Like I was a crackhead eventually in my life too, okay? Don't feel bad. I smoked crack too, but it was a way later on. At this time I thought I was still above that. Okay? That's what I'm trying to get to you. And there was Adam sitting on the end of the bed, fiending, looking like begging for a crumb. And I remember being so angry at him. I was like, wow, look at you. You're such a loser. How could you do this? Da 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 da. So needless to say, I left and I never came back. Like I got all my shit and I moved out and I went and moved in with my friend Misty. But I remember thinking like what a loser he was and how could like only crackheads smoke crack, right? Right? And let me tell you guys this. Like I'm telling you guys this because I really thought that I was above him because I liked to shoot cocaine and not smoke it. I really thought that my addiction was like high class and his was like gutter. You know what I mean? And so he ended up going into rehab and he went into teen challenge and I went into treatment somewhere else and he ended up writing me from teen challenge to the treatment center that I was in. And, just saying he was sorry. And that was the last time I ever talked to him. I wrote him back and told him it was okay. I was sorry too. And then I went on in my active addiction. I would like to think that he probably stayed sober and never went back to drugs, but I don't know, and I wish I could find out. But I can remember just yelling at him and screaming at him and thinking how horrible he was because he was smoking crack. Let me tell you how crazy life is, because it wasn't 5 years later. I was in the same crack motels, begging the same crack dealers for one more rock of crack. And I would smoke that shit all night long. I would bust it down and shoot it up, and I would do anything for a crack rock, okay? And that's why, like, when I hear people say, "Well, I've never let myself get to that point," or "I've never shot up," that's for junkies, or "Only crackheads smoke the rock," right? I just sit back, smile, and I think, okay, keep on going on the rate you're going because you'll be there. You'll be there. It just takes time. Some it happens for quicker than it happens for others. But like I always tell you guys, a lot of the things that I've went through have humbled me, and I've experienced these things because my ass thought I was somehow immune to these things. And I was so mad and angry, and it was because I was hurt, because I felt like he was lying to me. He was running the street smoking crack at night while I was asleep in the bed, right? And maybe it was a little bit of jealousy. Maybe if he had taken me with him, it wouldn't have been that bad of a deal. Do you know what I mean? But I can't tell you that because it didn't happen. But I really, really judged him, and I wish I could find him and tell him I was sorry. You know what I mean? Because no person is immune to anything. Like, addiction doesn't care whether you smoke crack or smoke cocaine or shoot cocaine or snort it or eat meth or snort meth or whatever you do. It doesn't really matter what substance it is. What matters is that it's literally sucking your life away. You know what I mean? It's taking your life away, and you're a slave to that drug. Whatever that substance is, it's your master and you're the slave, and you do whatever you have to do to get that drug. That's what addiction is. It's horrible. It's horrible. So, I wanted to tell you guys these two couple stories because um hey Captain, I was just inspired because I had been really, like I said, I was talking to Captain on the phone the other day, and it just got me to thinking about all these stories I hadn't told you guys, and I have so many more stories I could tell you guys about my active addiction, and I'll share them with you guys little by little. But I'm just here to tell you, like, I used to be into like telling those stories and like making story time videos about all the shit that I did in my active addiction. But I've gotten to a point in my recovery where it's like I can look back on that and I'm just so grateful I'm not in that situation anymore. You know what I mean? And I don't ever want to give the wrong impression to anybody that that was cool or acceptable or fun, because like I said, in all actuality, it was horrible because I lost all respect for myself and all my dignity because of my addiction. And I'm a very, very prideful person. And you can just imagine how low I had to get to be begging folks for another hit, you know? Um, to think that I almost let my addiction, ruin my chance at being a mom, that's what really gets to me, you know? And I know that it wasn't because I was letting it, but because addiction takes control. You lose the power of choice when you're using drugs and alcohol, you guys. You might not understand that, but that's what happens when you're using. You lose the power of choice. It's just what it happens. And it's not until something happens that wakes you up and you're like, it's just happen. It's just like it's divine intervention. Some magical thing happens that wakes each person up, and then they're like, "Whoa, I got to make a change. I can't live my life like this anymore." You know? But it's like the stars have to align. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like something happens, you know? But now I'm not, and I am going to stay sober and keep doing the right thing. I was talking to somebody on the phone today, and I was talking about, my Suboxone taper, and I really think about it a lot, you guys, because I see a lot of people who get off Suboxone and then they relapse, or they get off Suboxone and they struggle. And I just want you guys to know that I'm going to let you guys know exactly how I'm feeling. Right now at 4 mg, I feel great. I just feel good. I feel like I'm at a good milligram right now where I can manage my cravings. I don't crave opiates at all, but I 100% believe that the reason I don't crave opiates is because I work really hard on therapy, talking with others about addiction and recovery, and sharing how I'm feeling and process through that shit. Um, Doing a program with my sponsor and out in the 12 steps, working with other addicts and alcoholics and helping them find recovery, encouraging them, that also helps me. Like, there's not a time during the day that I'm not thinking about my recovery and how I can better myself or help you guys better yourselves. Like, I'm constantly thinking about fresh new things I can come on and help share with you guys and encourage you guys to. I'm constantly focused on the change that has to happen in me for me to be a good example on my channel. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to just come on here and not, I want to be an example of what recovery it looks like, and what you can do, and how you can change your life, and how you can be happy, joyous, and free, and how you can succeed. And that's really important to me, that I make sure that I'm not just coming on here and like just saying anything. I share those active addiction stories with you. The reason I shared those stories with you today is because I wanted to get to that story with Adam, where I shared with you how I thought that I was so much above him because he was smoking crack and I wasn't. And like I said, it wasn't even a couple of years later that I was in the same position he was, probably even worse. And I was begging the same crack dealers for the same crack rocks, and I was totally just putting everything. I had nothing to live for, you know? And I don't feel like that anymore. Today I have respect for myself. Today I love myself. Today I know that I can do this. Today I know that tomorrow, if I'm having a bad day today, if I'm struggling today, guess what? I know that tomorrow's going to be better. Do you know why? Because I'm going to make tomorrow better. I'm not going to focus on the fucking bad shit. I'm not going to let a couple things that happen in my life take me down through there. I used to get so upset about things. If my washing machine broke down, it was the end of the world. How were we ever going to be able to do laundry? We don't have the money. We're never okay, right? I would let these things really affect me, but I'm telling you, in the grand scheme of things, that shit doesn't matter. Like, I have my family, I have my son, I have you guys, I have human connection with people that I love and care about. That's really all that matters to me. And that's why I take my friendships so damn seriously, because that's all that matters, is that connection that I have with other people, because everything else can be replaced. All these material things, I can get rid of those and get new stuff anytime I want. You know, it's the relationships that I'm building with you guys and with my friends that really, really make a difference in my life and encourage me to keep changing. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed those stories. Just like I said, remember, we're not glorifying addiction. It's nothing to be. It's not fun. It's not fun at all. Um, and please, if you're struggling, you can always reach out to me. You can text me or call me, and I will take time out of the day to talk with you on the phone. All right. I love you guys. I hope you have a good rest of the Saturday. I'm going to get this laundry done, and then me and Nate are going to go for a walk. We're going to go to the Big Dam Bridge. All right. I love you guys.